So, like I said in the full review, the Beats Studio Buds are a great pair of truly wireless earbuds from Apple that offer active noise cancellation and an ambient mode at a price that makes you wonder, why would you go with the AirPods Pro over these if you're an iPhone user? Well, in reality, these are Apple's Trojan horse to sell wireless earbuds to Android users. So with that being said, today we're going to see how the Beats Studio Buds stack up to other popular ANC earbuds like the Jabra Elite 85Ts, Galaxy Buds Pro, and the Sony WF-1000XM4s. Regarding pricing, we've got a bit of a spectrum here. The Beats Studio Buds are the most affordable earbuds here, retailing for $150. The Galaxy Buds Pro have a retail price of $200, the Jabra Elite 85Ts have a retail price of $230, and the Sony WF-1000XM4s have a retail price of $280. Now, if you want to see how the Studio Buds stack up to AirPods, you can watch their full reviews. But nonetheless, if you want to pick any of these earbuds up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to learn more about any of these earbuds, please watch their full reviews because we're only going to be going over the main differences here. Now, first, let's go over these cases. Now, all of these earbuds have quality cases that are decently small and they aren't too noticeable when they're in your pocket. However, the Beats Studio Buds case has the largest footprint here when compared to all of these other cases, whereas the Galaxy Buds Pro's case has the smallest footprint here. However, it's worth pointing out that the Studio Buds case is a little thinner than all of these other cases, whereas the Sony WF-1000XM4's case is the thickest here. Overall, all of these cases are fine, but I do gotta say that I think the Galaxy Buds Pros have the least noticeable case here when it's in your pocket. However, when it comes to battery life, I think the Studio Buds and Galaxy Buds Pro are pretty much in the same ballpark. With their active noise cancellation turned off, the Studio Buds have a combined battery life of 24 hours, whereas the Galaxy Buds Pro have a combined battery life of 28 hours. But with their active noise cancellation turned on, the Studio Buds have a combined battery life of 15 hours and the Galaxy Buds Pro have a combined battery life of 18 hours. Overall, I'd say they're in the same ballpark, but technically, the Galaxy Buds Pro do have a slightly longer battery life in a slightly smaller package. But then there are the Jabra Elite 85Ts, which have a combined battery life of 25 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on. And if you were to use them with their active noise cancellation turned off, they can go for as long as 31 hours. But then there are the Sony WF-1000XM4s, which have a combined battery life of 24 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on. And if you were to use them with their active noise cancellation turned off, they can go for as long as 36 hours. So overall, all of these earbuds have respectable battery lives, but just keep in mind battery lives on all of these earbuds varies depending on how you use them, and all of their total battery lives do start to degrade over time. But nonetheless, if battery life is very important to you, then you might either want to go with either the Jabras or the Sonys. Now, when it comes to actually charging these cases, they all charge via a USB-C port, and this is the most telling sign on the Beats Studio Buds that they're really meant for Android users, because you can charge your phone and earbuds with the same cable, which is just more convenient. However, I do gotta point out that the Beats Studio Buds are the only earbuds here that don't have wireless charging, even though their case does have the largest footprint here. Now, personally, I don't really care about wireless charging on my earbuds, but I do want to point it out either for people who have a phone that supports power sharing or for people who have already invested in multiple wireless charging mats. But now let's talk about fit, because all of these earbuds fit very differently from one another. Now, all of these earbuds are in-ear earbuds, but the WF-1000XM4s are the only earbuds here that actually go into your ear canal a decent amount. Now, the Galaxy Buds Pro also go into your ear canal, but not as much as the Sonys. But then there are the Studio Buds and Jabra Elite 85Ts, which are much more shallow fitting. But the Jabras do feel much more natural and comfortable than the Studio Buds, specifically because they're using oval ear tips. Whereas since the Studio Buds are using round ear tips, they do feel a little more intrusive by comparison. Now, even though the Galaxy Buds Pro do go in a little deeper into your ear canal than the Studio Buds, since they're also using oval ear tips, they do feel a little more comfortable than the Studio Buds. They just feel more natural. But finally, we do have to address the ear tips on the Sonys. Now, unlike all of these other earbuds that are using silicone ear tips, the Sony WF-1000XM4s only come included with foam ear tips. Now, these foam ear tips do a great job of conforming to your ear canal, offering great lockdown, and they passively block out more noise than the silicone ear tips found on all of these other earbuds. But personally, I'm not a fan of these foam ear tips because to me, they do get very itchy very quickly. So personally, I feel the Sony WF-1000XM4's fit might not be for everyone. Whereas the Beats Studio Buds and Galaxy Buds Pro should fit just fine for most people. But then there are the Jabra Elite 85Ts, which I do feel are the most comfortable earbuds here because of their shallow fit and oval silicone ear tips. But now let's talk about connectivity. The earbuds on the Studio Buds, Galaxy Buds Pro, and Sony's all each establish a connection with your phone. So if you just want to use one earbud at a time, you can use either one, it doesn't matter. And this is the connection setup that we expect to see from our earbuds nowadays. Whereas the Jabras are using a hero and sidekick setup, meaning that one earbud, the hero earbud, in this case the right earbud, actually establishes a connection with your phone and then relays that connection over to the left earbud. So if you just want to use one earbud at a time, you gotta use the correct earbud, in this case the right earbud or the hero earbud. Now, earbuds that are still using a hero and sidekick setup do feel rather last gen. However, the Jabras do justify their use of a hero and sidekick setup because they can be simultaneously connected to any two devices at the same time, regardless of operating systems. So if you're a power user with, let's say, an iPhone and an Android device, you're going to be able to hot swap between your two devices with the Jabras, regardless of operating system. But more importantly, when it comes to watching movies or videos on your phone, all of these earbuds have zero latency across the board, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. And when it comes to audio codecs, the Studio Buds, Galaxy Buds Pro, and Jabras are all each using SBC and AAC, whereas the Sony WF-1000XM4s have support for SBC, AAC, and Sony's own LDAC. But now let's talk about actually listening to music with these earbuds. The Beats Studio Buds are a fun pair of earbuds to listen to. They have a slight emphasis on the mids, so vocals are a little prominent, and they have a good amount of bass that resonates and hits a decent amount. Overall, the Studio Buds should be able to please most people. But then there are the Jabras, which also have a good amount of bass to them, but they do sound more open than the Studio Buds, and more importantly, they do have an app where you can directly adjust your EQ to your liking. Now, even though I think it's great and all that these earbuds have an adjustable EQ, I would mainly recommend these earbuds specifically to someone who likes a warmer sound signature, because these earbuds just don't sound as open as the Sonys and Galaxy Buds Pro. Now, like I just said, the Sonys sound a little more open than the Jabras, but the Sonys also have the hardest hitting bass here. So if you're someone that's really after that bass, then you might want to go with the Sonys. However, since Sony also has a fully customizable EQ, if you're after a neutral or vocals focused EQ, the Sonys can deliver if you've got them in the right EQ setting. But if you are after the best sound quality, personally, I do recommend the Galaxy Buds Pro. Now, even though their bass doesn't hit as hard as the Sonys, it still resonates a good amount. But more importantly, they do have the best instrument separation here. The only thing to look out for here is that their app only works on Android, and you've only got a few preset EQ settings to choose from. You can't make your own EQ like you can with the Jabras and Sony. Now, when it comes to controlling your media, the Jabras and Studio Buds are using physical buttons, whereas both the Sony and Galaxy Buds Pro are using touchpads. And this alone could be a deciding factor for some people because they just don't want to deal with touchpads. Nonetheless, the media controls on all of these earbuds are easy enough to use, but the Galaxy Buds Pro give you the most control over your media and ANC settings from just the earbuds themselves if you've got them set up properly. However, when it comes to activating your Google Assistant on an Android device, you can only do so by pressing and holding on both the Jabras and Studio Buds. Whereas with the Sonys, you can activate your Google Assistant with just your voice by saying, "Hey Google." But then there are the Galaxy Buds, which have high support if you use them with a Samsung device. But since I use a Pixel, I really can't say anything about Bixby. But the last thing that I want to point out about these earbuds regarding their media controls is that the Studio Buds are the only earbuds here that don't have proximity sensors, meaning that they won't automatically pause your media when you take them out of your ears like all of these other earbuds. And personally, I do feel that this is a noticeable inconvenience. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these earbuds. Now first, I do want to temper expectations here. The ANC on earbuds isn't going to block out as much noise as a proper pair of over-ear ANC headphones, like either the Bose NC700s, Sony WF-1000XM4s, and especially the AirPods Max. However, I will say that the Sony WF-1000XM4s are getting really close to blocking out as much noise as the Sony 1000XM4 headphones, specifically when it comes to road noise. However, when it comes to chatter, the earbuds are behind the headphones. Now, when it comes to ranking, the Sony WF-1000XM4s block out the most amount of noise here with barely any cabin pressure. However, like I mentioned earlier, these earbuds are using foam ear tips, which passively block out way more noise than all of these silicone ear tips, which does give them a slight advantage. However, like I mentioned earlier, the 1000XM4's fit might not be for everybody. So for that reason, I still highly recommend the Jabra Elite 85Ts. They also block out a ton of noise, just not as much as the Sonys, but they're way more comfortable. But like I mentioned in the past, I only use the active noise cancellation on my earbuds when I have to, and what's really important to me is the quality of their ambient mode. Now, all of these earbuds have decent sounding ambient modes. They all sound natural with very little to no hissing in the background. However, in this lineup, the Sony 1000XM4s do have the best performing ambient mode here. It sounds the most natural, and they also do the best job of rejecting wind noise when walking outdoors. However, I do want to point out that both the Sonys and Galaxy Buds Pro have active ambient modes, meaning that they'll automatically turn off their ambient mode when there's a sudden loud noise, like let's say a siren rolling by, saving your ears from just getting blasted. Whereas both the Jabras and Studio Buds just let in everything. But finally, here's the microphone test, and unfortunately, I am going to have to say that the Sonys have the worst performing microphone here. Even in a quiet room, I sound a little shallow, and there is some static in the background. Now, the Jabras also sound a little shallow, but I do think that they have better clarity than the Sonys because they don't have as much static in the background. But then there are the Galaxy Buds Pro, which have a good amount of amplification to them. But then there are the Studio Buds, which have a lot more amplification to them. Now, even though the amplification on the Studio Buds is great for phone calls, they do let in a lot more noise pollution, and there is a noticeable amount of static in the background when I'm talking. Whereas the Galaxy Buds Pro do a much better job of isolating my voice and blocking out that road noise. Now, you can still hear some road noise in the background, but my voice is the main focus here, and there isn't any static in the background when I'm talking. Whereas the Jabras don't block out all that much road noise. And then there are the Sonys, which not only let in a lot of road noise, there's also a lot of static in the background. So if you are planning on taking lots and lots of phone calls with the earbuds, I say the Galaxy Buds Pro are the best option here. They have the best clarity here, and they do the best job here of blocking out noise pollution. Now, you can also take phone calls with the Studio Buds, but I'd rather take phone calls with them in a quieter environment because they don't do as good of a job of blocking out noise pollution. But with all that being said, the Beats Studio Buds are a great pair of truly wireless earbuds from Apple that any Android user should consider. They're a lot of fun to listen to, and they have premium features like active noise cancellation and an ambient mode at a price that won't break the bank. However, more popular premium options like either the Galaxy Buds Pro, Jabra Elite 85Ts, or Sony WF-1000XM4s do have their pros over the Studio Buds. If battery life or active noise cancellation is super important to you, then you might want to go with either the Sony WF-1000XM4s or Jabra Elite 85Ts. Personally, I do lean towards the Jabras because they are more comfortable. Or if sound is your main priority, then you might want to go with the Galaxy Buds Pro. And it also doesn't hurt that the Galaxy Buds Pro have the best performing microphone here. But overall, the Studio Buds are a pair of earbuds you really can't go wrong with. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.